right, everyone, welcome to the third podcast episode of MiraCosta Ask a Cybersecurity Expert. The previous two sessions was MiraCosta Ask a Scientist, and today we had a special blessing of having a cybersecurity expert, my dear brother Hyacinthe Symboli, with us. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge and extend our deepest appreciation to the Baha'i World Center in Haifa, Israel, who made it possible for us to meet Hyacinthe and get to know him, and now we have him with us to share with us his life experiences, his person, his professional experiences, and how he got where he is today. We are live streaming on YouTube, but more likely we might get disconnected. No worries, we're recording this session, and later we will share it with all of you. So if it's okay with my dear guests, we're gonna start with a student question. These events are a student-driven, so without any further, and I think the questions are rich enough that we get to know the Hyacinthe really well, to some extent. I mean, we can't claim we get to know Hyacinthe very well, but to some extent, he can share with us what is life. So I'm gonna spotlight him. So if I can, and I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna share with you the questions the students have posted. Let me share my screen with you. So I shared the question. I stopped the share. I mute myself, so I let Hyacinthe to share with all of you answer to the questions that you came up with. And so the first question, and beforehand, I met Hyacinthe in Haifa, Israel. We were both serving at the time in the Baha'i World Center. So we call each other Habibi. In Haifa, Israel, in Arab world, Habibi means a dear friend, dear brother. So if you hear us saying Habibi, that's what it refers to. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, Hebrew, Arabic, Habibi means dear friend, dear brother. And we're recording this session during a time that unfortunately there is a bad war going on between Palestine and Israel. And unfortunately, we had many children lost their life. And that's a shame to humanity. That's a shame to all of us that such an innocent life are lost. So they're in our prayer, Israeli, Palestinian, doesn't matter what religion they're coming from, which country, war is destructive. So they're in our prayers, and our deepest thoughts go out to those families. All right, Habibi, first question. So who is Hyacinthe Symboli today? How did a young man from the Central African Republic manage to get where you are today?
Well, Hyacinthe Symboli today is a cybersecurity professional. I currently work for FireEye Mandian as a senior cybersecurity consultant. And I joined Mandian in September 2020. But before that, I was a manager in the cloud at Oracle, a manager at Oracle. And I was in charge of the cloud security at Oracle. And there I spent almost 10 years at Oracle. And, my main function, of course, is, looking after, first designing the security for the cloud. And also being a manager, I oversee the work of dozen engineers across the world, across the globe. So at that time, I had a team, two teams in India, one in Hyderabad and one in Noida near New Delhi. I have a team in the Philippines, and I have another team here in the US. So you can see that it was quite a very dynamic team and very diverse team together that I was basically managing. And then, but before Oracle, as you say, I was in Haifa, in Israel, at the Baha'i World Center, which is the spiritual and administrative headquarters of the Baha'i faith, the Baha'i religion. So I was a religious volunteer, and I served there with many other volunteers from different countries. At the time that I was serving there, there were about 82 countries that were represented among the volunteers. So you can see the impact. You can see how dynamic, how beautiful that was, to be together in, similar places, serving the same goal, the same objective. And moving back, going back, I am from the Central African Republic, as you say. And I grew up, many people don't know what the Central African Republic is. Whenever we talk about Central African Republic, they say is where Rwanda, the Congo, the country is really, that's the name, Central African Republic, and the capital is Bangui. Is a French colonized country. That's why you have this accent in my voice, because I speak French. I was born there, I grew up there, and one important thing that you mentioned is that I became a Baha'i, and because of becoming a Baha'i, I started traveling, to help other, Baha'i communities, in Africa. So I live in West Africa. I left the Central African Republic. I moved to West Africa, and I live in West Africa. I travel in many of those countries, and finally I end up in India to finish my studies there, and here I am.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. The following question, I think, is going to get to the different part of your life. Yeah. So let me share my screen. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Such a rich life. The next question, question 2. As you mentioned, you serve and work in the Baha'i World Center, and it inspired you to open a community school. Can you share with us about the Baha'is and how they impact you as a cybersecurity expert and as a scholar?
The Baha'i faith is my life. To be honest, let me put it that way. I am not here to teach the Baha'i faith. We are talking about cybersecurity, but they are not mutually exclusive. As far as my life is concerned, it is the same thing. It is one thing. So I don't want to divide it. I consider them to be the same thing. So I serve at the Baha'i World Center, and the Baha'i faith is I will say the latest religion in the rank of all the religions. We think that God sent his messenger, or those they call some call them prophet, to humanity from age to age, depending on the maturity of humanity. And he has sent them since then, since the time of Abraham and Moses and the Christ, Buddha, Zoroaster, Muhammad, with Islam. And today we think that this day is the time that he has sent Baha'u'llah to guide mankind. As a Baha'i, they are, of course, when they come to us, they come with the teaching, the spiritual teaching that impact us socially as well as spiritually. And one of the some of the teachings of the Baha'i faith is the equality of men and women. That's the principle of the Baha'i faith, that we look at humanity as a bird, and for that bird to fly, it needs its wings, 2 wings, to be equally developed. And those 2 wings are men and women. So if the one wing is not very well developed, the bird will not fly. So that's how important the concept of equality of men and women is for us in the Baha'i faith. And one of the teaching, of course, is the equality of men. We think that men are basically equal. We think Baha'u'llah, the founder of the faith, say that humanity is like one garden of flowers, and one garden, and the different races that exist in the world are different color of flowers that are in that garden that make the beauty of the garden. So if you look at that, there is no competition of who is better than who is better than you. It doesn't, because the flowers, all of them, they are there. They are living at the mercy of the sun and the nature that give them everything, and they are there just to beautify that that garden that is there. And the ultimate goal of the Baha'i faith is the universal peace. So we are working hard in the community, trying to build the community so we can reach that that peace, that vision that Baha'u'llah has given us, the universal peace. So there are a lot of activities happening within the Baha'i community, not just by the Baha'is, but by the friends who are, like-minded friends who appreciate the teaching of the faith, who come to help us, bring this vision into reality.
Thank you, Habibi. Thank you. That's wonderful. So you have such the Baha'is have such a world-embracing view, and you're in this cybersecurity field. Do you see yourself a lot of times? You talk about equality. You talk about oneness. You talk about world peace. Do you see yourself when you're working on different projects that kind of impact the way you deal with other people, the way you try to safeguard them? Does that impact your work in that sense?
That's a very good question. That's why I answered earlier that, cybersecurity and my understanding or my belief in the Baha'i faith are not separated. They are just one thing. One thing that, you talk about the faith is that, we talk about that the earth is but one country and all men, are its citizens. So, and that's the teaching of the faith come from the founder of the faith. And if you look at the world today, we are so interconnected. It becomes such a small world when it comes to the digital life, right? So, and that you see that unity there. You see that unity that either I am here in the US and someone is in Japan, someone in, in Central African Republic. It's just this one world. And you can imagine all the trouble that comes with cybersecurity, with all the attacks that we have, or even in the US, you just tune on the TV or, go online and read how many those things are happening. And you will find out that, oh, okay, US has received, there is a company in the US that was attacked. Usually they call hacked. And the actors are not actually in the US, they are somewhere else in the different corner of the world. And that's how that, that smallest of the world has become, even in the digital world, as well as in our vision, me as a Baha'i, that, we have this, but in terms of the cybersecurity, it is also very small. It becomes just one single world. It's not divided.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. That's amazing. That is so wonderful. All right, next question. In a world where individuality takes priority, you talk about community building processes. How come?
So that's a very, very good question. When you talk about, community building is by nature, is the nature of human being. We are people, we live in society. Despite the dichotomy that has come to divide us, into class, those things are what men created. But we, as a human, our nature is living in society and trying to work in the way that basically benefit other people. That's how it is. That is naturally how we are. And with everything that has happened now, and you talk about one of the challenges, people are we are individualistic in some ways and all of that, and we are now working basically to of course, we as an individual, we are unique. This is who we are, but in the way that we contribute to the betterment of the world, that's the primary goal for us. That we not just I do something, I want to get it for myself, but I look at my brother and my sister and someone else that is there, someone who didn't have. We work together so we make this world a better world. That is where we are. That is our nature. That is our objective. That is our duty. That is our responsibility. Basically, trying to make this world a better world by thinking, to work for the best interest of everybody in one world.
Thank you, Habib. Thank you very much. Next question. Out of all your accomplishments, which one are you the proudest of and why?
I don't know what the accomplishment that you talk about, but I was wrapping my head around this question. One thing you mentioned earlier that my brother and I, we have a community schools in Africa. That community schools was open in the underdeserved neighborhood. And because of the quality of the schools and because of all the problems that people are having, poverty is one of them, that the parents are not able to send their children to school. So we create that school basically for the betterment of the community that belongs to the community basically. And yet, with a very tiny small fee that the parent can send their children to school to pay the teacher of the community schools, they were not able to do that. Some parents are not able to do that. And my brother and I, we decided to create this very, small program, scholarship program, that we prioritize girls to be able to go to the schools because they are at disadvantage in most cases in terms of education. So we want the girls to have the opportunity to be able to go to school. And basically, by providing them with that very small fee, but very small scholarship, so they can continue. And that program has grown, over the years. We have, I think about, if I am not wrong, 3 months ago, my brother and I, we talked about this. It was around 17 girls together who are now moving. And it is not that we contribute to that, but is the achievement, their achievement. Every single time that I talk to them, or I got a chance to talk to them, or, I visit them once, a few years ago, but every time that I see that they are growing, they are moving, they are progressing, they are accomplishing, it brings so much joy. Not because we are part of it, it is because they were able to express their God-given gift, and to be part of that is such an amazing experience. It's a very humbling experience. And of anything in the world that, I can be proud of, that is the one, in my opinion.
Beautiful. That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing. Thank you. So now the topic, we're going to shift them a little bit. So let's talk about your academic life. For someone who is new to the field, can you please talk about the courses you took that truly benefited your work today?
That is a very, very good one. One thing that people don't understand is that cybersecurity is still in its infancy. So it is a program that is unlike the general information technology that they call IT or the computer science, for instance, that has started in the 60s and the 70s. When they get to 80s, schools, the universities start developing programs and all of that, and people start studying and, graduating, become major and graduating in. Cybersecurity is quite young, is quite a few years old, literally. So many universities or colleges are struggling basically to put that program in place and, trying to, to teach, the cybersecurity course, but this is still maturing as such. So it is not about one course that you will take and you become a cybersecurity professional or expert. There are so many things that are combined, basically. So you cannot detach cybersecurity for IT or computer science. You cannot detach them. They are all together. They all work together. So one thing that I would tell, those who are interested is that have a basic understanding of IT in general, and a very good knowledge, of computer science and and IT. That will be the basic requirement. Because cybersecurity in general, what people do is that they develop, what we call a security program to protect the assets that are residing in the IT, like, servers, like data and all these things. That's what we will protect. But if you don't understand what these assets are, you don't know what a server is doing, you don't know what Linux is, you don't know what Windows is, and you want to become a cybersecurity professional, it is very difficult. So the starting point is to have a very good understanding of IT in general. And then, because cybersecurity is still evolving, There are so many other things that you can do. It's not just a university or a college course. You can attend conferences, for instance. There are so many conferences that are free, and sometimes they give even a scholarship that they can you can go to. What I can think is the B-sides, in multiple equations. You have Diana Initiative, for instance. You have DEF CON conference. Those are the conferences that you can attend basically to get educated in terms of cybersecurity. You have some trainings. There is one that I love a lot. It's called Hack the Box. It's basically a resource online. It's free. Is online. You go, you register there, and it's a community. They give you the resource. They give you a server that they want you to hack, and they give you guidance. So that's a training that you get. They step by step how you can do it, how you can get to that program, and sometimes there is a competition in it. But it trains you basically to understand exactly how you can get into a box or into a server. And of course, it comes, with responsibility. So you have, Hack the Box. You have, Over the Wire. Those are some of the programs that are free out there that people can use. One other one is the building your own lab, home lab. You can use VirtualBox from Oracle, for instance, that you can build your virtual lab at home. And you can deploy all the, the virtual servers. Microsoft give, I think, 180 days free license to, to people who want to try their hand, in Windows environment. So you can use those things, build your own lab. And that is what I do the most. Even I have built hundreds of labs and destroy them and build them and destroy them and build them and destroy them. And that's how I learn. So there are so many things, and there are certifications, some certifications, security certifications that you can, subscribe to. You can, go read, take those certifications, for instance, and without, saying that, YouTube, there are so many cybersecurity or information security courses on YouTube, plenty of them, good videos that you can go, watch them, do what they ask you to do and get the knowledge. That's how you can get initiated into the cybersecurity. So it is not just, to answer that question, it's not just one course or, a set of course, but it is so many things that combine to make you a cybersecurity professional.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. I think those are wonderful resources that our students can really take advantage of. Yep. Next question. As a Black man in the cybersecurity field, what were some of the obstacles you faced while getting your higher education, and how about in your professional life?
That is a very good one. So before I answer that question, I want to make that, in terms of challenges, I did most of my studies in Africa. So the type of challenge that I face in Africa is very different from the type of challenge that students of color face in this country, or people of color in general face in this country. In Africa, I didn't face racism. We are all Black. So there is nothing that, someone come, to look at my, my color and, try to put me down because of the color of my skin. It doesn't exist. So I wouldn't say it doesn't exist. I'm talking about my own country. You have different part of Africa. You have, the Maghreb side of it. And so that's a different story altogether. But what I'm trying to say is that I didn't experience that. Although we have a challenge of, poverty and, we didn't have teachers, we didn't have, good quality schools and all of that, but we didn't face the same issue that African American in this country or brown people in this country are facing. I didn't face that until I got here. So I don't want to say something that minimize the impact of what my brothers and sisters, African American in this country have faced. I don't want to say something that minimizes that. I was lucky enough that I complete my study enough there, before I moved here, although I got the opportunity to continue here to get my master's degree in cybersecurity. I didn't face that. But being in cybersecurity, being in this country, you, one way or another, you will face a challenge. But one thing that I tell people is that one good thing about cybersecurity or IT in general is that it is technical. You cannot talk your way out of it. You need to know it, you need to prove it. It is 1 + 1 = 2, that's it. So if you are really good in what you are doing, despite the what is going to happen, in the company that you are going to work, they will realize that you have the ground. You know exactly what you are doing. You know exactly what you are talking about. The issue might come with promotion. And I faced that despite the fact that people will come, when I was, in my previous company, I trained people, the junior who came 2 years after me, 3 years after me, I trained them. And a year down the road, they become my managers. And I cannot understand why, something like that will happen. It's not that I didn't have the management. So, and at some point I say, you know what? I am leaving. I am not going to continue to do what I'm doing. I am leaving. The minute I told them I am thinking of leaving, all these opportunities start coming. Because they know if I leave, there will be a huge hole to fill. And because of the way that I work really hard. I overwork, literally overwork. I have to do it 3 times, 5 times more than my other colleagues. And by doing that, the grace is that, okay, I become the go-to person for anything. Hyacinthe is the experiment. And because I decided, I said, I am going to leave, they realize that, oh, okay, there is a big, gap that is going to be, a big hole that is going to be created. Some opportunities start coming, but I end up, moving to, a different place or to a different position. And I met someone who valued me for who I am, for my, my skills, for my knowledge, for my experience. That's how I became a manager at some point. But what I can tell people is that it is very difficult. You can know, what you know. You can, do it, know it inside out, know it very well. Nobody will take that away from you. But when it comes to promotion, you might face some issues. If they are looking at you, judging you based on the color of your skin, not based on your experience of your knowledge. I have faced that in the past. I am not, how do you call it, ignorant of it. I know it. I have faced it.
Thank you. That's what you just shared. I think is what a lot of our students, a lot of our colleagues will face at some point in the life. And the previous speaker we had, who is a well-known chemist, also shared the same experiences, how they would look down to her because of the color of her skin. But her depth of knowledge, her contributions was to the extent that they very much, they became speechless. So, they and I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was saying earlier that, for those students, it doesn't matter. Perfection is a concept. I always think that way. Perfection is a concept, but excellence is right there. You can grab it. You can grab excellence. If you do very well, you can grab excellence. You can become excellent in what you are doing. So it is right there. You can get it. But to get there, it requires work. I don't know if you and I talk about this here. I am a black belt in Taekwondo. I am black belt 2nd degree. I have done Taekwondo for a very long time in my life. And I was privileged enough to meet a grandmaster. He lived in Boston. I went to his school for many, many years. Grandmaster Ku. He is a 9-dan Taekwondo. So that's the highest you can get in your lifetime. And Grandmaster Ku, used to tell us, he said the secret to mastery, to mastering something, is to do the same thing 1,000 times. You do it until you don't even think about it anymore. It becomes part of yourself. It becomes like you are breathing. That you master it. I apply that philosophy to everything that I do in my life. Even in IT, cybersecurity, I apply that. That's why I was telling you that I will build all these labs, that I will do, my exercises, my experiments, all these things. I will build them over and over and over and over until someone can ask me about it. I can teach it to someone without having to look into the book, without doing. That's how you do it. And for people, in general, people, the minority, people like us, either Black, brown, Asian, and all those, that we know that we will face some obstacle down the road. Know your stuff, know it well, get down to it. It will pay down the road. Nobody's going to take that away from you. That is the advantage of technical stuff.
Habib, I think you very much answered the next question also. The next question was, how did you overcome those obstacles? What drove you to persist? And what advice do you have for people who are going through the same thing in their professional life right now? You very much answered it very well.
So one thing is that my mom taught me. My mom didn't go to school. She didn't. She wasn't educated. She didn't go to school, but she was very wise. She told me. She said, when something happened to you, you are not the first person that thing happened to you, and you will not be the last one. And it is the same thing. It is exactly the same thing. I apply that philosophy to my life as well, that, if someone is this, so good in what they are doing in cybersecurity, well, they are just, they are just human. If they can do it, I can do it as well. They won't be the first, and I won't be, I might be either there, but I won't be, I won't be the first, and I won't be the last. Someone will come after me. If he is the first, he's doing what he's doing, it means that I can be second after him, and there will be a third person. So it is how that I look at life. There is nothing that we as a human being, we cannot do. It's maybe we don't have the opportunity, we don't have the means to do it. Unfortunately, that become a barrier, but we need to trust our intellect. We need to trust the God-given gift that we have, that we can achieve everything. The history of this country, oh my God, is just that,
That's amazing. Thank you very much. So the next question in the academic topics, what advice do you have for students who want to start the school after age of 25 or sometimes with children?
That is, I would say, go for it. The reason for that is that I am an example of that, because I went to college when I was, I think, 23, 24. So that's how, when I went to college, because of, so many, many issues in Africa, the war and all these things, and, poverty, some family challenges and all of this. So I didn't finish high school in time. But I went to college in my 20s, in my, almost mid-20s. And the reason for that I say it is so important, it's, go for it. I ask them to go for it, is that you go with so much purpose and objectivity. You know exactly what you want. So you will go with objectivity, you will go with purpose, and you will go with experience. That so many people in the, the teens, 17, 18 years, they don't have that experience that you have. They don't have that life experience that you have, but you have it. You know exactly what you want to do. You want to know exactly what you have. See the market. If you are looking for something, education that, at the end you will get a job that will pay better. You have seen it. You can go for it. Or you want to do something that will give you the capacity to serve mankind, to serve your community better. You have experience, you can go for it. I will say go for it. Even if not just 25, 30, 40, 60, go for it. It doesn't matter. Age should not be an obstacle for someone to go and complete their degree if they have the opportunity to do so. I know there are challenges. I'm not being naive about the challenge that people can face, but given the opportunity, go for it and head down.
I mean, that's very inspiring. Thank you very much. Now we're gonna the nature of question is changing. So now we are kind of transitioning to your professional work. Can you share with us the nature of your work as a cybersecurity expert? What's the nature of your work? What do you do? You have been sharing wonderfully. So,
what I am doing in cybersecurity, my team, I am in the strategic team in FireEye. So my team basically we help customers, organization in general, assess, design, and build their security program, their own security program, and that include, for instance, building advanced, threat detection capabilities. We also help them, the customer, to continually improve their own security program methodologies and responsiveness, to cybersecurity incidents. And when we do that, we go very closely, work again very closely with them, listening to them, listening to their priorities, their concern, so that, to help them improve their overall security posture. That is very technical somehow, is a lot. What exactly all of this mean? It means simply that at FireEye, there are a lot of companies, because we are, a pioneer in the incident response, cybersecurity incident response. There are many organizations that come to FireEye to ask FireEye to go take a look at their security program. And security program generally is basically a set of practices, the policies, the procedures, and documentations, and technologies, and the trainings that they have. So many things. And they have documented all these things. They have them in hand. They come to us, they say, can you please help us look into this and let us know if there are gaps, So that's why I do. So I take it and chop it down. The whole program, chop it down and look into it and see, okay, you have this, these are your strengths, and these are the gaps that you have. And because of these gaps, they are risky. You are running a risk, and I can basically tell them the risk that they have based on those gaps that they have. So, and then I give them recommendation how to improve, how to put in, a program, a security program in place, basically to close those gaps. So I make them recommendations and give them recommendations and accompany them as they implement the recommendations that I give them. So this is what I do. But other than that, that's the main focus of my work. But at the same time, I do incident response, meaning that, if a company is attacked and they come to us, sometimes there will be a call for additional resources. I can go also and help with that, to go and see, get there into the company, deploy our, FireEye technologies, and then, try to see what exactly happened, how did they get here? What happened when they get here? What did they do? When? Who did it? What did they do? And, did they get anything out? Are they still there? And when we get all of that, all of those facts in hands, then, we have the customer rebuild again, the environment, to make sure that they are secure and all of that. So that's part of the thing that I do. When I have time, I help with that as well.
That's wonderful. That actually brought us to the next question. The next question is, what are some of the rapid response techniques you have used in the field?
There is There is nothing that they call a rapid response when it comes to cybersecurity. Of course, yes, they. I should not say that they are containment strategies that you put in place when when there is an attack. You have to do the analysis of the attacks and put containment strategy in place so that the attack doesn't spread. But it is not just one thing. It is so many. Many things depend on, the type of the attack. It depends on the type of, is it a ransomware, for instance? Is this, where, they went and, encrypt the entire servers, people cannot work. That's containment strategy is quite different from a simple malware, that a virus or something that enter and they are trying to get there. So it is so different. There's no one unique answer to it. It depends on the attack, the nature of the attack, the strategy, the containment strategy or rapid response that you talk about will depend on that. So it is not one thing.
Thank you. So the next question student had, can you share with us some of the significant project or cases that you have completed?
I wouldn't say the name of companies or because that's not right. Because when I work with a company, the first thing I send is the non-disclosure agreement called NDA. So we don't, I don't spell those things out. But there are many situations where even recently where we are going to work with the customers, and before 2 days before the engagement, they got attacked, they got hacked, and we need basically to get in there, drop the initial project that we are going to do with them, and go and take care of the hack that that is happening in the organization. And we got that completed. We got that completed. It's still, the work is going, but we were able to basically to contain the attack, and now we are working with them to clean up the systems and rebuild the environments and bring everything back. I'm hoping that in the next couple of days, maybe by the end of next week, we will finish that. But that's the most recent project that I am working on right now.
That's exciting. I think that's one of the exciting things about the field that you work in. You always have this, especially with such a world that, as you mentioned, is so connected.
Yes.
These things can happen out of proportion.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So the next question. So as you speak, I rearrange them because so we have a natural order of topics. So next question is, how do you manage as a person of color in a field that is predominantly white men? Did you feel like you had to work twice more than your colleagues to get acknowledged for your work? Which I think you answered it at some point.
I did answer the part of it. As I said earlier, the mastery, as a master could say, of a technique is to do it 1,000 times, and do it over and over and over until it becomes part of you. And that's what I do. When there is something that I don't understand, technology that I don't understand, and I'm supposed to, oh my God, I spend so many times. I will, not only that I read, books, I watch videos, and sometimes there are some pay subscription, that give you a better training in those things. I pay those subscriptions as well. So I really want to really master that. So to answer that question is that, no, if you want to do it, do it. Know the inside out of the domain that you are studying. Just know it. You have control over that. That has been my how do you call my philosophy? Not just my philosophy. One thing that you asked earlier that I didn't answer is that, ask about my personal life. I didn't get here by myself. I was helped in many ways. I was helped, on the road to where I am. And the biggest help I got is actually from an American couple who happened to live in Mali. They are Baha'is. And when I was there, they are the one who say, you have to go back to school and finish school, because I dropped school at that time. See, they say you have to go back. You have to go back and finish your school. And I went. And they were there. They support me. They become my surrogate parents. Literally, they took me in. I lived with them for my, in my, early 20s, all the way to late 20s, I lived with them. And the husband was a UN, is Dr. Shapiro, Dr. Barry Shapiro, and his wife is Mana Shapiro. He is an American Jew, and she is, Manaz is an Iranian American. Here you have a Jew marrying an Iranian. In this world right now, do you see the funny thing about this? But it's serious. And the love that they have for each other, the love that they have for humanity, the love that they have for Africa, is just something else. So when they look at my potential, they say, we are going to take you in, you have to finish your school. So when I went to college, I finished college without even having student debt. I didn't pay student debt because they pay all of that. They did that for me. And UN, he was the diplomat, the UN diplomat at that time. UN sent them to India. That's the reason I went to India. So after I finished my studies in Mali, I went for advanced postgraduate certificate in information security, now cybersecurity, in India. So I studied there for almost 2.5, and then I did internship for a year. So it became a total of almost 4 years. So those are my parents. They live in Texas right now, but these are my parents. They love me like my own parents. I love them like my own parents, share with them my challenges and all. But I was helped down the road so that, I got here. I just want to acknowledge it. I cannot finish this without acknowledging what they did. But again, to come back to this question is that, do it and do it well. And the reason that I talk about Dr. Shapiro and even my mother, my surrogate mother, Manaz, they still tell me that there's something that you have control over. When you have control over it, master it, do it, get it done, know it, because that's under your control. You can do it. But there are some of the things that you don't have control over. Racism. You cannot do it. You don't have, if someone is your boss, is a racist person that, that doesn't see your value, you don't have control over that. Absolutely not. You will miss, promotion here and there. You don't have control over that. But what you have control over, go for it. Do it and do it well.
Which I think that brought us, thank you very much for sharing that. I think as my colleagues who are listening and watching this video podcast later on, that's very inspiring. I think as an educator, that's what we can do, is support our students unconditionally.
Yeah.
The last question, Oracle is a big name. As an expert, how do you decide when and why to leave for a new company like FireEye Mandiant?
That is true. Oracle is a big name. But FireEye, if you look at people, maybe people didn't hear, but FireEye is not a small company either, especially in the field of cybersecurity. If, it's not because I am biased, I'm working at FireEye that I will say this, but it's a number one in the world in terms of incident response. Cybersecurity is, to me, is the number one. It's not just me. Go on, online and see, even with the U.S. Senate, they have this session in the Senate. They invite the FireEye CEO Kevin to go there and give a talk and explain why the SolarWinds attacked. We discovered that. FireEye did discover that, and FireEye was the first company, cybersecurity company, to link a nation actor to an attack, because they were able to find out. At that time, I was not even in cybersecurity yet, but back then they were, that's what they call, I think, APT1 at that time. That's the name of the attack. But they were able to when they were doing the investigation, it's the first time ever in the history of cybersecurity that they were able to find the attack and trace that attack back to China. And that's how the US government get even, to be, a wake-up call even for the US government, because FireEye did it. And from there, then, it has been going. Mandiant did it, and, it has been going. So FireEye is not a small company, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. They are big in it. I might be biased, but I ask you to go, go read online. You will see.
That's amazing. See, as you shared, these are fascinating. These are amazing things in cybersecurity. That was the last question from the students. Do you have any other closing comments before we say the acknowledgement?
No, just to say thank you, and thank you to the students of MiraCosta, as well as the faculty and the staff members. Thank you for having me here, and I hope this has been beneficial. And I have shared this invitation internally with the FireEye other teams, and they're very, very excited about it, and we hope that it is the students have learned something from it. And if there is anything in the next time that you need someone to go talk there, let me know. Meet with the students, we would love to do that. But thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you very much, Habibi, my brother Hyacinthe Symboli, as our dear friend Victor Kingori said, my brother from my other mother.
Yes. And for people who don't know, Sharam and I, we live in Israel for many years together. We serve together, so we know each other quite well. And again, we live in the Northeast. You were in Maine, and I was in Boston.
Yeah, life has brought us together. Now you're in California. You're in California. So.
I'm in California now. Yes. All right. Thank you.
So I want to send a special gratitude and thanks to the students. If it's okay with you, I'm going to read all their name.
Oh, fine. Absolutely.
Fatima, Amir, Sevan, Ozzy, Vanessa, Sky, Mariela, Denia, Jackie, Hayat, Gabriel, Ismail, Daniela, Jorge, Tessa, Adrian, Devin, Aliyah, Alma, Madeline, Ronnie, Richard, Alisa, David, Nelson, Andy, Rafael, Rashad, Alvaro, Hector, Alondra, Jorge, Eduardo, Deshaun, and many, many others whose questions and inspiration made this event possible. I also want to extend a special gratitude to FireEye Company and the Baha'i World Center in Haifa, Israel, MiraCosta College, the success team in the STEM pathways at MiraCosta, the ACE program, Academic Success and Equity program, especially the Umoja, Saubona, Ashe, Social Justice and Equity Center, Department of Mathematics, Dean of Math and Sciences, Dean of Instructional Services, and Dean of Career and Technical Education, who made this wonderful opportunity. Habibi, thank you very much for giving us your time. Thank you. We will bother you to perhaps with more technical presentation where our cybersecurity students can ask more technical questions.
I look forward to it.
And thank you very much for giving us your Saturday. Send a love to the family, and hopefully we talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.